Within the Pokemon universe, at only 10 years old, you're allowed to travel the Earth all by yourselves, which means you're bound to make a lot of mistakes. But no group of characters have worse decision making than our protagonist, Ash Ketchum. Like in the Unova saga, where he decides to bring one Pokemon to a 3-on-3 gym battle. I'll cut Ash some slack here since he did have a plan knowing he had the type advantage, but the season where he was the absolute dumbest had to be in the Kanto region, where on the most important day of his life, getting his starter Pokemon, he decided to sleep in and miss the chance to get the starter he wanted, which was Squirtle. Granted, because of this, Ash ended up getting his star Pokemon Pikachu, and I would place more of the blame on Professor Oak, because why would he tell 4 kids to come to the lab when he only had 3 Pokemon? Also, while we're on the topic of the adults, the biggest mistake they made, which almost caused Ash and Pikachu to die, is not teaching Ash basic Pokemon etiquette. They kinda just threw Ash out in the wild, and 5 minutes into his Pokemon journey, he managed to anger a gang of sparrows that wanted to murder him. Even when Ash managed to get away from them for a bit and he ends up meeting Misty, Pikachu's in critical condition, and when Misty tells Ash to bring Pikachu to a Pokemon Center, Ash has no clue what that is. Because of all this, minutes later, the sparrows almost kill Ash and Pikachu, and if Pikachu wasn't the most broken Pokemon ever, able to kill thousands of sparrows, they would have been dead. The funny thing is, this all could have been avoided if they gave Ash any basic education about the Pokemon world. The only good thing that came out of all of this is that Ash was able to meet Misty and travel along with her on the journey, but is that really worth it? Because all of this ended up with Ash owing Misty a brand new bike, Pikachu being in critical condition in the hospital, and oh yeah, Ash meeting wanted criminals known as Team Rocket. They had a plan that day to steal all the Pokemon within the hospital, and when they ended up encountering Ash's Pikachu, he had so much power he was able to blow up the Pokemon Center, sending Team Rocket flying, which made them want to follow Ash and Pikachu forever until they capture them. So the butterfly effect of these adults being neglectful is really showing. But I wouldn't blame them entirely, because from now on, a lot of the mistakes that are being made are fully on Ash. Like, the biggest thing I always wondered, why didn't Ash just report Team Rocket to Officer Jenny? There seems to be a pretty active police force within the Pokemon region, and Jesse and James literally have wanted posters, so it's not like nobody's looking for them, they're wanted criminals. So I really don't think it would be that hard for Ash, Misty, or anyone of that sort to report Team Rocket to any authorities and get them locked up for good. But by far though, the biggest mistake anyone has made is not being subscribed yet. It's free and it helps out the channel a ton. With all that out the way, when Ash traveled through Viridian Forest, it wasn't that bad. Like, yeah, he got his Pokemon kidnapped and it almost got killed, but it evolved in the end, which was pretty nice. But when Ash went to Pewter City, some of the dumbest shenanigans I've ever seen happened unfolded. Because Ash goes in to challenge Brock with zero plan at all, which narratively makes sense. He's a brand new trainer and I do not fault Ash for this. He ends up getting utterly destroyed and has to think of a plan on how to beat Brock. And lucky for Ash, he has loads of options, like catching a brand new Pokemon to help him defeat Brock, or, you know, even ask around and figure out what is Brock's weakness. But no, he decides to spend all night boosting Pikachu's electric power against the rock-type gym leader. You may think this isn't that bad since Pikachu is Ash's ace, until you realize all of Brock's Pokemon are also ground types, which are immune to electric-type moves. And to nobody's surprise, when Ash went to fight Brock again the next day, he struggled even harder, and if it wasn't for Pikachu randomly hitting some sprinkler to allow him to hurt Onix, he would have got clapped again. Ash didn't even end up winning this gym battle, by the way, since Brock's siblings didn't want Ash to defeat the gym leader, so I don't even know what was going on in this entire ordeal. So the main person I'm gonna blame here is Brock's dad for being an absent father. And speaking of gym battles, a common mistake people seem to think Ash made is not using Pikachu, his electric-type Pokemon, against the water-type gym in Cerulean City. But people don't seem to remember he was going to use Pikachu. Pikachu was the ace of his plan. It's just that Pikachu didn't want to fight. When Ash pulled up to Cerulean City, the 3 gym leaders were tired and didn't want to fight anymore because Gary just beat their ass, so they just wanted to give Ash the gym badge. Misty got pretty pissed off about this since this is also her gym too, and challenged Ash to a battle. And Pikachu just didn't want to fight Misty because Pikachu is friends with Misty. All this doesn't matter though anyway, since their battle never officially ended since Team Rocket messed it up, and they ended up just handing Ash the gym badge in the end anyways. So honestly, the only person I'm blaming here is whoever appointed these girls as the gym leaders, since they clearly do not care about their job at all and they need to all be fired. So now that Brock, Ash, and Misty are all traveling together, Ash started catching some pretty good Pokemon. He managed to get all 3 of the original Kanto starters, which is some pretty good type coverage. Everything was looking good for Ash, and besides some little mistakes here and there, he was pretty locked in. But he made a very brutal mistake with his Charmander. This Charmander had an old trainer known as Damien, and he completely abused him. This man left Charmander out in the cold to die, and Ash ended up saving Charmander, and Charmander ended up joining Ash's team. But Charmander was still traumatized. Now, Ash definitely tried his best to make Charmander feel welcome, so much to the point where he started spam using Charmander in every battle. Charmander was getting way ahead of level of all of Ash's other Pokemon. Now look, we've all been there over-leveling our starter Pokemon and neglecting the rest of our team, but when Charmander ended up evolving into Charmeleon, Ash wasn't ready for this Pokemon. Charmeleon's personality completely changed and he was a total brat, not listening to Ash and just fighting when he wanted to. Now this is a mistake this story blatantly tells us. Brock keeps telling Ash that he needs to improve as a trainer to make these Pokemon want to listen to him, since these Pokemon are viewing him as weak. But this isn't what I'm faulting Ash for, it's what he did to his other Pokemon indirectly. The whole reason why Bulbasaur and Squirtle don't want to evolve in the first place is because they're scared of what they'll turn into. And damn, if I was them too, I would be scared, since one day you're chilling with your homie and he ends up evolving and he's a total dick. Like man, even Pikachu is traumatized by evolution too, since the last time he saw a Raichu, he completely beat his ass, sending Pikachu to the hospital. If Ash spent more time using his team more well-roundedly and being a more mature trainer, a lot of his Pokemon would not be scared of the concept of evolution. They would actually be excited to get stronger. Granted though, all this doesn't apply to Ash's Pikachu. I actually think it was really good as Pikachu didn't evolve. Pikachu made it really clear to Ash that he wants to stay a Pikachu and he doesn't want to evolve. And this was way before the Charmeleon incident happened, so this is actually how Pikachu feels, and I feel like if Ash evolved him into a Raichu, this Pokemon would be completely miserable. But Charmeleon's ass isn't innocent either, because when he becomes a Charizard, he becomes a menace, and I will get to him later. When Ash continues traveling on his journey, he ends up going to the psychic gym, and this was the biggest clown show ever. I don't know what Sabrina is, because she's certainly not human, since she has major psychic powers. Like, she shouldn't even be in this universe. When the gym battle starts, Ash and Pikachu are no match, getting completely destroyed, and when Ash ends up surrendering, Sabrina ends up putting Ash into a Genjutsu. I don't know what Sabrina's intentions were, trapping the gang here, and another psychic ended up bursting in and saving Ash, but I don't fault Ash for this at all, because how could he have planned for this? We seriously need a gym leader committee or something, since nobody is following the rules and just going off of straight vibes. If there's anyone to blame within the group, it's gotta be Brock and Misty, since they're gym leaders, and I'm sure somebody somewhere would have told them that some of these gyms are whack. For Ash to try to get his get back, he ends up going to Lavender Town to get a ghost type Pokemon, which will be super effective against Sabrina, and this is pretty smart on Ash's part. When Ash is inside the Pokemon Tower, he ends up meeting Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, and seconds into meeting them, they end up dropping a chandelier on Ash and killing him. They end up taking Ash and Pikachu's soul out of their body and hanging out with them for a while, and Ash ends up convincing them to revive them, so they put them back into their own bodies. And you would think after Ash befriends these ghost type Pokemon, he would end up catching one of them, right? But no, he just ends up leaving the damn tower without catching a ghost type Pokemon. It's like the chandelier hit him so hard on the head, he forgot his original plan. It's fine though, since Haunter ended up following Ash, wanting to help him out with the gym battle, which I didn't even know is legal. I thought the trainer has to use their own Pokemon, not just wild Pokemon that want to help them out, but nobody's following the rules here, so it doesn't even matter. When Ash pulls up to the gym again, he ends up trying to use Haunter, and he's nowhere to be found, since he's not Ash's Pokemon. Sabrina's just pissed off from all these games and ends up trying to use her psychic powers on Ash and the gang again, and literally turns Brock and Misty into dolls. Eventually, Ash ends up battling Sabrina with Pikachu, and Haunter pulls up and just makes Sabrina laugh, and she ends up just giving up on the battle entirely and giving the gym badge to Ash. Now, there are so many things wrong with this from all angles, like Sabrina, you know, almost kidnapping Brock and Misty, so Ash should really be calling the police if anything. But even after all this, with Haunter single-handedly saving Ash's life and clearly showing an interest to travel with him, Ash ends up parting ways with him and never catching him. Like, we seriously never see this Haunter again, and if Ash threw that Pokeball just one time at him, he would have had a star Pokemon. Oh, and speaking about powerful Pokemon Ash just decides to abandon, let's talk about his Mankey. When Ash and the gang are chilling and they're all eating jelly-filled donuts, a Mankey pulls up like, hey, give me some food, boy, I'm hungry, man. He ends up stealing this donut, and when Ash realizes this Pokemon's a fighting type, he thinks it would be a great addition on his team. So Ash just throws his Pokeball at Mankey while he's eating, and this obviously doesn't work and pisses Mankey off. Mankey ends up coming full force, jumping the gang, and ends up stealing Ash's hat. In the middle of all this, Team Rocket of all people end up pulling up and kicking Mankey out of the way, and this pissed Mankey off, so much to the point where he evolved into a Primeape. This Primeape was so strong it was able to fight off Team Rocket, Ash, Brock, and Misty, and Ash literally had to jump this Pokemon with all of his. Even in the middle of this battle, Brock and Misty end up telling Ash this Pokemon is way too powerful and he should run away. Charmander ends up clutching up in the battle, and Ash throws a Pokeball, being able to capture Primeape, which is a massive W. And Primeape, when he comes out of the Pokeball, loves Ash and listens to him. So this is a massive W. Ash just got a super powerful ace Pokemon that synergizes well on his team, and he can get tons of gym badges. So maybe I can forgive Ash for a few episodes ago not catching Haunter. Except the fact that 4 episodes later, when they're fighting in this fighting type Pokemon competition, Ash ends up using Primeape in the P1 competition, and they make it all the way to the finals against Hitmonlee. Since Primeape is that guy, he ends up winning in the end, becoming the official P1 champion, which is a great feat for Primeape. So tell me why after this battle, this guy walks up to Ash being like, "Hey, your Primeape's pretty strong. How about I train him so he can become a real P1 champion?" First off, what the hell does that even mean? Primeape is already a real P1 champion. He just won the whole damn thing. Then the worst part is Ash, without a second thought, ends up agreeing to this. This guy literally hit a lick on Ash, scamming him completely and robbing him of his strongest Pokemon at the moment. Even Primeape was confused, like, "Hey man, I kind of wanted to travel with you." And Ash is like, "Bye Primeape, I'll see you later." Some of you may be thinking that this isn't a big deal and he's only training Primeape and Ash will be back for him later. And I'd agree with you, except for the fact that this is the last time we ever see this Pokemon again. Even the damn narrator calls Ash out for this mistake.
Just when they were beginning to understand each other, Ash and Primeape go their separate ways. Maybe they'll meet again someday, somewhere.
Like, if Ash kept this Pokemon, it would have dramatically changed the way the story went, since this was the final evolution powerhouse that Ash would have needed. Imagine if Ash pulled up to the Indigo League with a fully evolved Primeape, a Charizard, and his broken Pikachu. Ash would have advanced way further. And speaking of Charizard, let's talk about him, because this case is a whole mess. Like I said, I don't fault Ash for not knowing the risks of overleveling your Pokemon and making them not want to listen to you, since you have to learn when you're a brand new trainer. I'd say it's a good thing that Ash's Charmeleon's not listening to him, so once he figures out how to solve this, it doesn't happen to any of his Pokemon again. In an episode where Ash was helping someone train their Paris, he sent out Charmeleon, and when Ash told him to chill, Charmeleon went ballistic just seeing red and wanting blood. This Pokemon seriously wasn't listening to Ash, so Ash decided to make this Pokemon take a backseat, and he didn't use Charmeleon for a while, which is a major mistake, since it's kind of like Ash is running away from the problem, not trying to deal with it and just hoping it changes over time, which it never will until Ash addresses it. The next time we ended up seeing Charmeleon is when Ash was in a life or death situation getting attacked by an Aerodactyl, and when the Aerodactyl emoted on Charmeleon, he ended up evolving into Charizard because his pride was hurt. Even though Ash now has a Charizard, nothing changed. If anything, the problem was way worse since he now has the strength to back it up. The only time we saw Charizard fight in favor of Ash was against the 7th gym leader Blaine, and surprisingly this gym battle wasn't rigged, it was a genuine gym battle, and Charizard showed us his true strength, being able to take down Blaine's Magmar, but he didn't do it because Ash wanted him to, he did it because he wanted to test his own strength against another powerful Pokemon. But with Ash needing to get one more gym badge before the Indigo League, I'm sure he'll dial in with Charizard, talk about it, and get it all sorted out before they go to the big leagues. But nope, Ash didn't say jack to Charizard, and he pulled up to the 8th gym, and Gary just happened to get there first and versed Giovanni and Mewtwo. Gary ended up losing, and when it was Ash's turn to fight the gym battle, he ended up versing Team Rocket. The explanation we got for this is that Giovanni got a phone call and he had to attend to something, so Ash just gets a free gym battle? Before, I was wondering why none of the adults educated Ash on how to be a good Pokemon trainer, but clearly everybody in this universe is just clueless. Also, why is nobody questioning the fact that the leader of Team Rocket, the biggest criminal organization in the region, is the gym leader, and no officers any seem to be raiding this place to arrest them? But it doesn't matter, Ash ends up getting his final gym badge and enters the Indigo League. Now look, size isn't everything, but what the hell is Ash cooking with his Indigo League team? Because looking at this guy's ultimate roster, we got Pikachu, Pikachu, a Charizard that won't listen to him, Bulbasaur and Squirtle, which are not evolved. We also have Muck and Krabby on this team, which might as well be on Fraud Watch since this is some of their first times battling. Somehow, by God's grace, Ash makes it to the top 16 and he's up against a trainer known as Richie. This is a 3-on-3 battle and Richie's team is Pikachu, Charmander, and Butterfree. This is a team straight out of Viridian Forest. How are these people making it so far? But this should be a pretty easy win for Ash since he's bringing Pikachu, Squirtle, and Charizard to this battle. Somehow this trainer gets Ash down to his final Pokemon, Charizard, and Charizard solos the Charmander with ease. He doesn't even have to try, and Richie's down to his last Pokemon, Pikachu, which should be a free win for Charizard. But Charizard is so disappointed that the top 16 of a tournament is him versing a bunch of baby Pokemon that he starts to refuse to battle. This man Charizard must have thought he was nonchalant or something since he ended up just chilling and sleeping, and Ash ended up getting disqualified since his Pokemon refused to battle. Now, I don't know who made the bigger mistake between Ash bringing Charizard, Charizard refusing to battle, or Brock and Misty not helping Ash solve this issue a long time ago, but what I do know is all these issues could have been solved in therapy a long time ago. And Ash starts to realize this and starts getting depressed, and Pikachu had to cheer Ash up and give him motivation to keep continuing his journey. Which takes us to the Orange Islands. Now, I want to say there was less mistakes since Ash is a more experienced trainer going through these islands. Like, it was pretty good that Ash managed to get a Lapras pretty early on and adding it onto his team, since Lapras is a pretty powerful Pokemon and an easy way to navigate through these islands. I'm just confused on why Ash never really spent the time to train it. It felt more like Ash was using this Pokemon as an Uber and less of a member of its party, which is pretty messed up considering this Pokemon was getting abused before Ash met it. Throughout Ash's journey in these islands, he also ended up catching a Snorlax, and this Pokemon is so broken. Not because of its high base stats or cool move pool, because this Snorlax, intentional or not, knows 6 moves. There are multiple times when this Snorlax fights, it goes way over the move cap of 4 and just goes off of straight vibes. And hey, I don't really fault Ash for this since everybody's been cheating in this anime, so you might as well join them. With all these powerful Pokemon Ash seems to be catching, he's still trying to rely on Charizard. Thankfully, within these islands, Ash and Charizard end up talking it out, and Charizard starts listening to Ash, but he should have done this like 50 episodes ago. After going through all this, Ash ends up fighting Drake in the Orange Islands to try to get his first trophy. And surprisingly, Ash did pretty well in this battle. It came down to Dragonite versus Pikachu, and Ash ended up winning with Pikachu being on like life support, but he won the Orange Islands. So overall, looking at Ash's stat sheet throughout the Kanto region, it definitely isn't good, but a lot of BS was going on, so I can cut him a lot of slack, and this was his first region. So not so bad for a rookie year. I don't know if I can speak for Ash in later seasons though, so you gotta like up and subscribe if you want me to cover the rest of Ash's dumb mistakes throughout the Johto region. So until then, thank you so much for watching.